Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Colton Overcoming. So, my guest today is someone that was at Restoration City for about 5, 6 years. They came in the late 80s, went through the program rehab part of it, got out, stayed a few more years, and finally left. But she is here to tell her story today and all that they encountered and saw and what her kids encountered as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and welcome Miss Cheri. Hello.
Hello.
I can't believe it's been so freaking long. I mean,
Yeah,
15
I figured it out the other day. I see 28 years.
Wow. Yeah, I remember playing with your kids and stuff, and there was one point that the town next over, that was about 10 minutes away from the compound where most of the people were, they rented out, I don't know if they rented or bought this area that was a little apartment complex, and they had a couple like duplexes right next to each other. And y'all lived in one and we lived in one. So we lived right next to each other for about a year. I think it was about a year or so. Was a long time ago.
Yeah, I can't. I think you guys must have moved before we left. Did you move into a trailer or something? Or
We moved into a trailer in that town for about a year, and then we moved back on the campus grounds for the rest of the time there.
okay.
So yeah, we were in
It's funny
Morton.
because I think I blocked out a lot of stuff. I don't
Yeah,
remember a lot of stuff. Oh, like all of a sudden it pop up in my head. I'm like, oh, I remember that.
yeah. That's kind of at times that's kind of what's I feel like I'll remember so much, and then at other times Raquel or someone will be like, "Do you remember this?" And I'm like, "What the no?" Um, Yeah, so let's just get started. You guys came there, and did you go through the program as well, or was it your ex? Wait, it's your ex-husband now?
Yeah, Randy is Randy Seiler. He's my ex-husband now. Yes,
Okay,
we've been divorced for 2000. We got divorced, but I'm remarried.
okay. So why did you guys end up going there?
Well, back when I was 18, okay, I went through Teen Challenge here in Pennsylvania, and then I graduated in New York, and which was a very good program. I mean, it really helped me. I had a drug problem from age 15 to 18. And I got my life right before I got married. I had kids and stuff. And anyways, and I got out, graduated when I was 19, and then started dating Randy again because I known Randy since I was 15. Um, so we met on a cross country, well, cross track. We both are doing cross country and track running. So, anyways, we got married when I was 20. Randy was 21. And they had Brandy about 8 months later. And then had Danny 15 and a half months after Brandy. It was quick. So, anyways, Randy was drinking a lot, and Randy would get very abusive. So, I think we were married almost 6 years, 5 or 6 years, something like that. Anyways, maybe it was 5, 6, but anyways, we went down there. Well, what happened was, I got in touch with the Teen Challenge director here in Pennsylvania, and said, "Do you recommend any place where we can go get help for our marriage?"
Mm-hmm.
And he knew Randy had an alcohol problem, and an abuse I was suffering at the hands of Randy. So he had called me back. He goes, "There's a place down in Texas called Teen Challenge Valley Life Training Center.
Mm-hmm.
I will get you guys hooked up in that program." So, anyways, Randy went down ahead of me. He went down 3 months before I did. And then I went down in June of 1989 with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we took the bus down. So it was like a 2-day drive. on that bus, but it was kind of cool. I liked seeing all the sceneries and all the states and
Did
stuff.
you end up going through the program as well, or was just
Yeah, I had to go through.
I was just going to ask, did you have any like issues yourself? Like, oh yeah, you said with like drugs and stuff.
Well, I had actually was clean when I went Teen Challenge myself
Okay.
back when I was 18, 19. So no, I didn't have no drinking problem or drugs after that. But the first day I got there, and it was hot, and I'm from Pennsylvania, so it was hot there in June, and I remember because it was they were like there was no rain for a long time, and the ground was so cracked open. I'd never seen anything like that before, and let me say this before I say what I'm going to say. I was afraid to come to Texas. I think I've watched that movie too much. I'm not good at watching horror movies, but I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Did you think you were going to be in that kind of environment?
Outside the bus, making sure I don't see no guy down with the whatever, what's that saw thing, whatever. And,
Yeah,
I was afraid. And anyways, first day I got there, Danny wasn't even 4 yet. We went in June. Danny was going to be 4 in August. Danny decides to go out in the courtyard and pee. Pee right in the middle of the courtyard. Okay. That was the first day I got pulled into counseling because the one lady kitchen, she didn't stay that long. But anyways, she's like, stop him. He's in midstream. What am I supposed to do? You know, I mean, he's peeing for God's sake outside, you know? And so I got pulled in for that. And they handed me this book, How to Train Your Child, and about spanking them and all that in this book. So that was my first day.
Man. So you got right away, you got pulled in.
Yeah.
So let me just explain real quick what I think we've gone over this a little bit, but this facility was associated with under Teen Challenge. And if anybody knows anything about this, about drug rehab places, there are other Teen Challenges across the US, but they fell under DK wanted to do his own thing and go under Family Life Training Center. So they got away from these assemblies of God and all that. And according to him, he wanted to be able to bring in whole families and such. But now we kind of know the truth. It was way more than that. There's a lot of talk about there were people that came from Teen Challenge that were trying to get him in line, and he didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so he went on his own. And so it became Family Life Training Center. And then they changed names from there as well. So when people say, you know, this, oh, I tried this other Teen Challenge and then they brought me to Texas, and, you know, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, because the other Teen Challenges are either just for men or for women. They're not for like a whole family or anything like that. The director of the Teen Challenge up here has said about the Teen Challenge Family Center in Hungerford, Texas. So yeah, which is out in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
yeah. So I could see how that would be a little scary first coming. If you've never been to Texas, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of nowhere, you're like, what the hell? And then especially when you go down to the creek area, which the creek area is like a mile to 2 miles. We called it down the street, or it was further. Like you would, and do you remember that little area?
Yeah, I do.
Like at night, it was really scary. It was this like little pond area kind of, and I don't know, it was just a really eerie little part. Like if you didn't know where you were, then you felt like somebody was going to come out and get you. So anyways, so you get there, and then how long was the program for you guys?
And I was trying to think back. It might have been we might have been in the program itself when I got there, maybe a little over a year, you know. I did all, the classes and all that stuff, and but it doesn't seem like it was that long we were in the program. I mean, like I do remember it was not long after we got there when I remember having the chapel service, and David pulled everybody in the chapel service to tell us that they were breaking away from the Assembly of God, which is the church I've gone to all my life, Assembly of God and Teen Challenge. And like I said, that's where I noticed a lot of changes and like red flags going up automatic right away.
So you went into you guys went through the re-entry part. Was that a few months? It's like when you get it's like when you get out of the program rehab part of it, and then you go into the re-entry phase, which is usually a few months, meaning you get a job and stuff, and you start entering back into the world and all of that.
Oh yeah. It was somewhere after about a year after I was there, and then they had at the time the Yurcheks were living in one duplex, because we went through the program at the same time once Brenda and them and the Slingers. So there was like a lot of us. I remember it was a lot of students there, a lot of married ones. But yeah, so anyways, the one side of the duplex was open, and we moved in there. And then, I mean, Randy worked at different odd jobs like painting and stuff like that, But even when we were in a program, there was like things that I didn't agree with and that I saw. Like one time, one student had relatives come to one of the services. And this is after David changed it to Family Life Training Center, and which at the time, it seemed like every service was really long, and he was always talking about himself and how the center revolved around about how it got started because of him and his wife, the first wife, how it was revolved, with their marriage and stuff, and then it seemed like it was revolved about him and his oldest daughter and her music. But anyways, one student had a family there, and the one guy, which was some relative of his, didn't get up and dance, because we had to get up and dance. We had to, whatever David said we had to do. Well, he called him out. He stopped, in middle service and called him out. I felt so bad for the guy, because David yelled at him for not getting up and dancing and worshiping with us. I felt so bad about that. And there was another service. It wasn't a service. It was actually a wedding. The wedding ended up being turned into David preaching so long that their poor candles on each side, they melted all the way down, caught the thing on fire. Yeah, because David thought it was his time to preach at somebody's wedding,
Oh, I remember that, because he would officiate. There were a few weddings that happened there, and he would officiate them along with maybe another co-pastor or something. I hated it so much, because he would bring his long ass preaching in there too. So everybody that's in the wedding party is standing up there for 3 hours while he's preaching about whatever nonsense.
Were you there with the candles caught on fire?
I don't remember that. I think I was too young.
Yeah, the candles, it burned all the way down, and the thing caught on fire.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
We got a little break from his preaching at that time.
Yeah. I think God was trying to say, that's enough.
Yeah. And I mean, there's, like I said, so many services that they were so long and drawn out, I mean, we would get called when every time someone would leave, and that they were disfellowshipped, and that we weren't allowed to talk to them. And there was this one guy, he used to be a governor or something. He was something in politics that was there. He was the sweetest guy. He ended up starting his own church in Wharton.
Mm-hmm.
We were running to him, and he was always smiling. He was so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
He would say hi to us, and we were so afraid we would go be like HEB. I think, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
And we were so afraid to say hi, looking around, seeing if anybody's around, because we didn't want to get in trouble, But
and you're referring to someone that had left and we weren't allowed to speak to them anymore.
Yeah, he was never in the program. He just kind of was part of the body, and sometimes he would preach and stuff. But he was some kind of politician one time. And he ended up starting his own church in Wharton somewhere. And I know his name and stuff, but I'm not going to mention it. But anyways, and there was like a lot of times we run into people and they would say hi or want to talk to us. And I felt so bad, but I lived in fear. I lived in fear of doing anything, And this is after we were out of the program. And, I remember saying to Randy, I said, because Randy was the only person I knew I could talk to where it wouldn't go back to staff and I got pulled in counseling. Because if I talked to, I didn't know who ever talked to about things that were on my heart or my mind, because it would get, they would run back and tell on me, and I got pulled into counseling. But I would say, Randy, I got to church most of my life. And I go, I never had to deal with any of this ever. I go, where's the love of God in this, all this, If somebody is, and half the people that left or whatever, it wasn't that they were backslidden or whatever, they just decided to leave or whatever, or they didn't agree with David, whatever, that don't mean they backslid, Oh, there was time.
No,
we didn't go to church.
Huh?
We didn't go to church. We got called into counseling. Why weren't you at church? Yeah. I never even had that in my own church. My own church would never do that, If we were out for a while, whatever, they call, are you okay? Can we do anything for you? This is my own church. But the things that we dealt with, I just never experienced that in my life, and I felt like we were being controlled. If we didn't go to church, we didn't go to those light meetings. I think whatever, they had light meetings, whatever. We didn't show up for that. I'll never forget my family. I had all my family members call me. Remember when that Waco thing happened?
Yeah.
And the guy's name was DK also.
Anyways, very similar.
We were having all kinds of calls because my family thought that was the place.
Yeah. I don't doubt it, because it's in the middle of nowhere. And like people, you have a group of people under one person. No, it definitely is a controlling environment. That's what it is. You control these people in this narrative to believe what you want to believe, or using God as to what they want to believe and how they want people to believe. And that's funny that you were saying about that guy that got called out in praise and worship for not dancing. I remember like every service for the longest time, the services were like 3 to 4 hours, and praise and worship was the majority. Well, I guess was half of it.
And you poor kids were hungry too. I felt bad for you.
And like 1 to 2 hours, about 2 hours was like the praise and worship. You were standing the entire time and like dancing. People were like, dancing and stuff, or singing the song of the Lord, which is you get up on the mic and sing your heart to God. And yeah, it was just like, there were one or two times probably that I sat down, and if you sat down, even if you were on the front row, because everybody was like in the front, gathered in the front dancing and stuff, and then you had the chairs and stuff. If you were on the front row in the chairs and just sat down, and then like people just thought you were out of it because you weren't entering in. Don't enter in unless you enter in. And people are like, are you okay? What's going on with her? She's sitting down. Oh my God. Motherfucker, my legs are tired.
Or your dad was a drummer, wasn't he?
Huh?
Your dad played drums.
Yeah, my dad played drums for a while. My dad plays guitar too, but he was a drummer for a little bit. And
that's a funny thing that happened. I think about your dad. I'll never forget it. After their praise and worship, he came to sit down with you guys. You were in front of us sitting. He went to sit down and the chair broke.
My dad did?
Yeah, and the chair, when he went to sit down, the chair broke. And Jonathan was preaching. Anyways, but your dad did not get up. He stayed on the floor.
He just stayed on the floor? Why did he stay on the floor?
Because he didn't want to interrupt Jonathan. Jonathan says, Raymond, you can get up.
Stays on the floor. Oh my God. Oh my Lord.
From your dad, I think of that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is so funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's how, that's how the church services were, though. I mean, they were so freaking long. And I mean, it was brainwashing. They spent an hour and a half of preaching and brainwashing your head to believe what.
You remember one time where, I know you still were a child and stuff, but he had pulled us in for some kind of thing, because I guess, I don't know what happened, but somebody went to the law or something. I don't know, about the kids being spanked and that we're being brainwashed and stuff. And he goes, well, maybe your brains should be washed.
Oh, I don't remember that, but I do remember there were things that were said like that at the pulpit or like during praise and worship, and he would say stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Well, if the next town says we're a cult by definition, then we are a cult. He was almost like saying it kind of like in a jokingly way, but still said it. And we were all just like, okay, yeah, praise God. You know, by that point, your brain is so out there and you believe all of this shit that you're just like, you go with it.
Well, it reminded me, after I got out of it and started thinking about it, and it reminded me so much of Scientology.
Yeah.
His sermons, the way he taught, the way he was like Scientology. But here's the thing about DK. Randy was athletic in sports. Everybody looked up to Randy, even DK did, because Randy was so athletic. And so anyways, I would walk by David and would say hi to him. He would not acknowledge me. He'd just ignore me, just walk by. Never talked to me. I never talked to that guy till the day we left. I mean, the day we decided to leave. It was the only time I ever talked to David in the 5 years I was there. And I felt like, all the elders, not all of them, there were some cool ones that I really looked up to, but majority of the elders and DK, that I was so below them that I was just like a piece of dirt. And that's how I felt. They when I don't know if it was for praying, whatever, when they were all the elders would get up in front of the pulpit, whatever, out, up front. They will all stand there. They look like a bunch of mafia guys, the arms folded and everything, And it used to scare me. I mean, they look like they're ready to punish you. or something, you know. It was just, I never felt comfortable, never, you know. And I had to say this. We stayed on because Randy wanted to stay. Randy wanted to be what he called lifer. He wanted to be a lifer. I didn't. I wanted to go back home. But I had to honor my husband, obey my husband, you know. So that's the reason why I stayed. I mean, if I could have, if I had the money, I would have came back myself with the kids. But
what do you think was a beginning red flag for you or for y'all? I mean, did Randy start seeing stuff too, or did it take him a while to kind of start noticing?
Randy noticed stuff here and there, but he still wanted to be a lifer. They made Randy feel important. They made me feel like a piece of dirt. Yeah. I mean, there was, like I said, one time we got pulled. It wasn't much. Me and Randy didn't get pulled into council much, but the one head elder, co-pastor, pulled me and Randy in and wanted to know if we were doing a certain thing in our marital bed. And I'm like, that's between me and my husband, you know, that's none of your business. And what we do in bed, you know, that's what we decide. But he was saying, he asked us a question if we were doing a certain thing in bed. And we said yes. He goes, stop it, it's dirty. And it's like,
oh my God. It's so funny. I mean, it's not funny, but like, I did not know they were that, they wanted to know that much detail, like about stuff like that. Oh, I would be so embarrassed and I would start laughing. I mean, what did you?
I was too afraid to say anything because, like I said, when I went into counseling things, I would be yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And I mean, one counseling, I forgot why I was pulled in for that. I was pulled in for so many reasons. I don't know. Majority was over my son, Danny, but the one I got pulled in and I had my head bent like down like that, you know, because I felt like a dog getting yelled at. And she's like, lift your head up, you know. It's like, you know, but you guys are literally beating me down here with words, you know. I mean, it took me a while after I came back here because I was so messed up in the head. I really was. I was messed up in the head to get myself back together, you know, because I'm so beaten down and so much low self-esteem. And I even talked to my pastor. I came back here and he definitely said, you know, you guys were in a cult. You know, I mean, he was my pastor before I came there, and after he retired now, but him and his wife were so great, you know, and they were always there for us and stuff. But I mean, red flags.
Sorry, just real quick after that counseling session. So did y'all just like leave there and we're like, well, I guess we're not doing that anymore, or like?
Well, we continued doing what we were doing.
Yeah, you're like, they can't. Wait, are you gonna tell on me? Am I gonna tell on you? What are we gonna?
How are they going to know unless they're
unless like, oh my God,
and you know, whatever, you know.
That's so ridiculous because I know for a fact some of that stuff like that was going on with affairs that were going on. You know, and like you're freaking in your marriage and like oh my God, it's just so ridiculous. Well,
also while I was there in the program, I also got pulled in, well, not that I did anything, but there was 2 guys that I was not allowed to have my children around. So that was kind of scary, you know.
Like they were maybe child offenders or something.
That's what I'm thinking. They didn't tell me that, but why? You know, because the one older man, he seemed so nice and everything. And the other one, he was around our age, but so I'm like, well, we should know this up ahead of time. I mean, not to look down on them, but just to
Well,
where.
yeah. And I think that looking back at things now, I think that there might be a good thing in having a certain, just having guys or just having women and not bringing the children aspects of it in it, because there were people that got paroled from prison there. And who knows what all of the felonies that they had. I'm not saying that all these people are horrible people or anything. I know people's lives can change and you can get better. And I understand all of that. But at the
Well, it
same
was
time,
scary because, you
yeah, there
children
were,
ran around all the time. We could
yeah,
not keep an eye on you all the time, so we didn't know.
yeah. And so there's like these child offenders there and stuff. And now, I mean, there were certain older ladies that would like look out for us and say, hey, don't go to this certain part of the campus or something. And at the time, we didn't understand what was going on. We were like, ooh, this person is so mean. But we were so naive to what was really going on that we just didn't realize, oh my God, this person is a child offender, a sexual assault person. Like, there's just so much more aspect to it. And I can totally see now why maybe it maybe should just be a guys program, or to, like I don't think kids that
Yeah.
small should be in this. When you're trying to, as a parent, as someone, when you're trying to get your life straight, you should be focused like on one thing and not I don't know what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, there was some of that I look back now and going, oh my God, wow, we were just so naive. We didn't know any better. Like,
Yeah, I think most of my red flags came up after we were out of the program because it was so controlling. Like I said, if we didn't go to church that day, we were pulled in, counseling, or if we didn't go to a light meeting or, and not just us, the one, without saying name, well, she passed away. Her two children lived in one apartment and she was sick a lot, but here she ended up with cancer. And I feel bad for that.
oh, you're talking about Raquel's mom.
Yes. And she was always sick and stuff, but she would get pulled in counseling because she didn't go to church. Well, now we know why. I hope they feel bad. I hope they feel bad for all the times of pulling her in, because she was sick.
Oh, Jesus.
Cancer, and so it wasn't just me, it was them. And,
oh my God, that makes me so freaking sick, like to my stomach. Like my family was close to them. Me and Raquel, me and Hannah went over there every day to play with Raquel and Courtney. And I don't know why that just makes me like so sad.
I remember that. Like I said, that was a red flag. When we were told not to talk to anybody, that left. I noticed so much, a lot of things I think I blocked out. And because it took me a long time, because when I think back with Danny and how they beat him down so bad and telling him that how bad he was all the time, and that Danny's still at his age now, still dealing with not feeling good enough, feeling like a loser and stuff. And, and then I come to find out this year, my kids never talked about the center till this year. I think they're trying to block it out. But Danny is so angry now because he's starting to do counseling and stuff. But we had to get, when we came back, we put him on medication for ADHD and then also depression and stuff after we got back to Pennsylvania. But he just told me now how when we would go, remember Westheimer Arts Festival and an Italian festival, we would go, me and Randy go work there, go the weekend, stay overnight at a hotel. Apparently the staff that watch him stuff were beating him. And they were beating him bad.
They were like faking him and stuff? Like,
yeah. The one, he beat my son so bad. My son was telling me about it. He beat him so bad, and I'm just finding out about this now because I think at the time if I would have found out, I would have left, but I would have left with somebody else hurting first, and that's how I feel, and that hurts me. Sorry,
Yeah.
that hurts me that what he beat my son. No, I did not give him permission. No, I would have went to the cops, and if Randy wanted to stay there, he could stay there. I would took my
How,
kids, came back. I would have found a way to come back to Pennsylvania.
yeah.
You know,
How old was Danny when this was going on?
he didn't tell me. He was 9 when we came back. Anywhere it must have been from ages 6 to
So just a little kid then. Yeah.
8. Yeah, but he wasn't the only one that beat on Danny. But he told me that was the worst. He's telling me about it's coming out, and then Brandy comes and shares with me because she never talked about the center. She never really went through a lot there with anybody. She just said to one top elder, he was a little too touchy with her, and for Brandy to feel that way, he goes, Mom. She said, Mom, he was always putting his hand. I'll be up at the water fountain. He comes and puts his hand around her waist,
Mm-hmm.
and none of my children did not tell me this, till now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, most of it was the one that really went through a lot was Danny, and just they have never like uplifted Danny, or you try to see help him with his hyperactivity, whatever, they just like beat me and Danny down. Randy never had to deal with it, and sometimes I felt like a single mother the whole time. But it's like there's a lot of anger in me still, and a lot of hurt, and I try to like not think about it too much. Yes, Danny was active, a very active little boy. I know that. But 90% of the time, it wasn't stuff that he should have been spanked for, or and then did I go the one time when we were in a court. We was playing around the courtyard with the one staff's boy, the one eldest boy, and the boy was swinging around a bicycle chain, and he hit Danny with the chain and left a nice mark on Danny, a nice mark. And Danny started crying. So I yelled at the boy, and his older sister yelled at me and ran to her dad. Her dad pulled me in to the counseling while this elder was screaming at me saying, your son is the problem, and he needs to be spanked more often. And from now on, whenever he needs spankings, you need to bring him in to my office, and I'm going to make sure you're spanking him right. And in my head, I'm cussing him out in my head. Yeah. And thinking like hell, I'm going to bring him in, and I never did. Because you're not going to tell me when to spank my kid and have spank my kid in front of you just so you want me harder. No.
It's because they wanted to control every aspect. They
controlled me so much. I lived in fear. I mean, there was one time, okay, this is with David's first wife. She cut me off in Wharton. Thank God she didn't know it was me, because I started cussing her out in the car. And I'm going home. I'm waiting for a few days. I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be pulled into counseling. I'm going to be pulled into counseling, whatever, Um, but thank God she didn't notice it was me. I think she was in her own little world. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was another time. This is when I was still in the program. And you remember when you could write people up and everything?
You get those demerits.
Yep. Well, I decided I would go on those things where I share my testimony and we go to, different places, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, well, it was DK's oldest daughter. She kept grabbing the one, he was still in the program. She kept grabbing his butt all the time. Pinching his butt, grabbing his butt. I wrote her up. I got pulled into counseling. I'm not allowed to write up.
Oh my God.
I'm not allowed to write up any eldest children or David's children.
Yeah.
So
geez, it's so explaining what that is real quick is you would write other people up in the program, or every once in a while some people would write up staff members, and so you would get these demerits and these slips, and so either you had to do some kind of work within the facility or you had to memorize a bunch of scriptures or something to the effect, or you were brought into counseling.
So have to go find scripture. If it was like talking back, look up scripture for that. No, I will do what I don't know. It was like I used to remember.
Did you have to go
a shoebox of demerit slips? I don't know why did I save them. I don't know, but
oh my God, did you have to go? Did you have to go apologize or anything to her after?
No.
Yeah.
I know. No, I didn't have to do that. But why should I apologize? She was the one pinching a student's butt.
No, I know. I totally agree. I've had some people on that they had to go apologize to them or something after they were brought into counseling, after they wrote someone up. So,
but she was only like 15 years old.
Yeah.
At the time, she was like 15.
Yeah.
And but anyways, like I said, I walked on eggshells. I never knew. I was pulled in for so many things. I felt like I could never do anything right,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I felt.
Yeah, for sure. I think they did do that with a lot of people. They would make them feel this certain way, in that like you owe everything to them and to this place, and then certain other people, they would make them feel like they added so much, meaning like your ex-husband. I mean, they did the same with my parents. Like my dad was a drummer, he became a deacon and elder, but they made my mom feel like the biggest piece of crap. Yep. It was just like total like control of one narrative of we're gonna lift this one person up, but they would talk such shit about my mom, and sometimes it was around me and my sister. And at the time I would laugh a little, but then I remembered like getting a little offended too. I don't even know how to explain this, but I felt like I couldn't even say anything, because if I did, they would either laugh at me or like, why I don't know. It's just crazy, like the way that they would make certain people feel like either you were really less than, like you're saying, or you're brought to a level if you are totally in their world and their what am I trying to say here? The group within, or like the higher ups, which my dad kind of was at some point, then they would treat you a little bit different. And if you were giving a lot of money, which my dad at one point was giving some funds. So yeah, they would treat them just a little bit different,
like I said, they looked up to Randy because Randy was so athletic. Randy was very good at any kind of sports he picked up, because he was on their basketball team, he was on their baseball team, and they looked up to Randy. But me, I was just a piece of dirt, and like I said, a lot of times I felt like a single mother. I mean, I homeschooled my kids. I know some people didn't like it. but I loved homeschooling. That's why I'm a what they call a paraprofessional, which is teacher's aide. I work with kids with learning disability, but I loved it. But when I moved back to Pennsylvania, I had to go work full time, and because the cost of living up here is so different than Texas. So I had to put him in school, which was hard on Danny. It was Brandy adapted. It took her a little while. She adapted. Danny didn't. That's because we were so isolated there. We weren't really allowed to associate too much with the outside people down there.
Yeah. So just real quick, how did y'all end up getting out? I guess what was the final straw for y'all to?
It's another red flag, and how this all started. Every time we want to come back to visit Pennsylvania to visit my family, and like I said, we're out of program and everything. We're just part of the body. We had to get permission.
Yeah.
Why should I get permission to go on vacation to go see my family? Right? Always had to have permission. So this is after five, when we went on our third visit to Pennsylvania. This was in September of '94. We were there a little over 5 years. So we came back to Pennsylvania to visit, and Matt's my husband now. Sorry, my ex-husband Randy's dad they found out he had cancer, not colon, what is that? It starts with P. Anyways, prostate cancer. So Randy calls back down to center, whatever, and also his boss, whatever, to say he wants to stay one more day. His dad's not doing well. And when we got back to Texas, we stayed one more day. We got back to Texas that evening. And this is the first time in 5 years I ever saw DK's office. They were the whole eldership and DK were in there. And he had this big, huge round table. I mean, it's like the room was big. That's the first time. So he pulled me and Randy in. And I don't remember everything that was said anymore. I don't remember everything that was said. I just know then Randy said, you know what? It's the best decision Randy ever made, that we're leaving and going back to Pennsylvania. We're going to pack up our stuff and leave. So they said, well, we like to talk to Cheri. Randy, we step out, whatever, and Randy goes, well, you have to have my permission to talk to my wife. And this is all because we stayed extra day up here in Pennsylvania. I go, Randy, I'll be fine. Let me listen to what they have to say. So like every other wife where the husband left that end up staying on, like DK's second wife, they tried to talk me into staying, saying they'd take care of me and the kids. Yeah, right. I see what happened to all the other women. Yeah. I'm not stupid, Yeah. I'm not going to stay here for you, beat my son more, I want to go back home. I want to be with my family, I mean, I met a lot of great friends down there, a lot of great people down there. But yeah, they're in there trying to talk me to staying, saying me and my kids. Let Randy go, And I go, no, I'm gonna go be with my husband. I'm going to, go back with my, up to Pennsylvania with my husband, my kids. I'm not, they really think I was that stupid after what I seen, how they kicked out the other husbands, whatever, and then, and how what the other women went through. No, No.
Yeah.
What I felt bad was when my sister came down and went into the program. My sister Cheri, I don't know if you remember, Cheri had her daughter Melissa and Joel. They were half Vietnamese.
Yeah, I don't really recall.
Yeah, but Cheri, I felt bad because well, the next morning I came back to the center for packed up whatever and stuff, and Cheri know that we were leaving, going back to Pennsylvania. Cheri stayed in the program and graduated, but they got a monitor to monitor what I was saying to Cheri. When I came up, I never had to have a monitor to talk to Cheri ever before, but because we were leaving now, and so, but that's how that whole thing, And I remember coming back, we got back to Pennsylvania in September '94. I don't even remember what was in the letter, what I wrote it for, but I wrote Jonathan a letter telling him how much he hurt me. I wrote the one head elder a letter and telling him how much he hurt me with whatever he said in that meeting before we left. I remember coming back, we sold our cars so we get money, get a U-Haul to get back to Pennsylvania. And then we got back to Pennsylvania, bought another car, but yeah. Yeah, it was the best decision because I know after I left, because my sister saw a lot of stuff go down there, because my sister was babysitting for one of the elders and stuff, who would see things, was going on and stuff, and but and then then to know that a lot of my friends that I became friends with were allowed to talk to me, that hurt me too.
Yeah, well, at least you guys got out and everything. Did your obviously your sister got out? How much longer did she stay?
Well, nice thing is her husband, she wasn't there maybe not even about a year maybe. Her husband came down there, got I don't know if he got airline tickets, but her husband was never in the program, and he came and got her, and took her back, so he wasn't letting her stay down there, and she was going to stay if we weren't there,
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you guys all got out and everything. I know. I'm sorry everything that y'all went through, and it was just so much mind control more than anything. I think that's what a lot of it is, and the way that your brain starts to think and everything. And sometimes after leaving, it takes a little while to try to get over that and try to get your mind to start thinking in a different direction.
I know. I was such a mess when I came back. My head was such a mess that I remember I backed up right after we got back here. I was backing up in this parking lot and almost ran into somebody and walking because I was just like my head, but and I slowly, gradually, and then I think more of it because after we got back, Randy, you know how controlling they were at center? Well, Randy became that way in our marriage. Saying I was due, I'm the head. If you don't like it, you get out, and all kinds of stuff, And so we remained married for about another 6 years. And then I left and divorced them. I couldn't take it no more. And so, because I felt like even all the controlling I went through down there, the controlling still continued after we came here with him because what he was taught down there. And so, yeah. And he was that way with Danny and Brandy, more Danny, and the way they treated Danny down there, Randy picked up up here. So it still continued, so yeah. But I try, I mean, I don't want to cry because it still hurts. I still got anger, but I come a long way from, when I, after we first left and stuff, but still dealing, because my son has a drug addiction now. And here's another thing. So when Facebook started, and I'm like seeing all these people from the center, and I wanted to reconnect with a lot of people that, I was friends with and everything. And somehow one of the staff there she's still on staff there too. She friend requested me, and I accepted her, even though in my heart I really couldn't stand her, but I'm like, okay, let bygones be bygones. But well, she goes, and I post about Danny's drug addiction and stuff and everything I go through with him. Still going through it with him. And he's in rehab right now. He's in and out of jail or in and out of rehabs. But she goes, get Danny into the program down here. He helped you and your husband. I'm like hell did. I would never put my son in the lion's den. Why would I do that after how you treated him? And you were one of the people who treated my son bad. I said, I think they're messed up in the head. I would never do that.
Is that what you said to her?
Huh?
Is that what you responded to?
No, because I'm too nice of a person. I said to her, no, he's going somewhere else. He was going somewhere else, which he did, but then still he goes in and out places, back on drugs, in and out places, back on drugs. So, but no, that's what I was thinking. Oh, I really want to say it. I did. But yeah, when a lot of people deleted me that was from the center that was still there as their friend, like there was a few of them that now they're not at the center, but they deleted me because I guess David told them they had to delete. When the groups, the group got started, even though I was, what's the word I want to say? Not tough, but I didn't really let them get into my head, but yet I lived in fear, because I was always being counseled, whatever. I don't even call it counseling. That's not counseling. I was always being yelled at, pulled in to be yelled at. That's basically it. And I was always afraid because I was so beat down by them, but yet at the same time, I did not believe in a lot of things they believed in. I always thought the things they did were wrong, not how they just treated me about other people, and I seen going on around me and stuff, like I said, with Pat, and I felt so bad for her, just a lot of things, and then to hear stories from the other ones I didn't even know happened, because we weren't allowed to talk about anything, like I said, you were afraid to talk to anybody because you don't know if it's going to go back, and stuff like that, and I'm sure that's how the rest felt, why we didn't know a lot of things that were going on,
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And I really appreciate it. And just know that, you're not that person anymore, and we've all come so far. I know you've been out for quite a few years now, but I know for me, like, I'll get to a place where I think I'm doing good and I want to forgive and not be as angry, but then like something will come up and I'm just like, it takes everything in me to not get real bitter and get mad and stuff. And no, but I think, you know, it's awesome getting as far. I'm just so glad you guys got out and everything. And
I know you guys went through it longer than we did. I'm like,
yeah, we were there for like, my family was there for like 15 or so years. My mom a little bit longer, but yeah, just nuts.
I know. No, I mean, I
But
miss it. I do. I think about coming back down there to visit. I miss a lot of people. I would never want to visit the center. Never.
yeah, yeah,
No,
for
I'm
sure.
just too much bad memories. But the friends I made there, that was the best thing that came out, the whole thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
with friends I made there and stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
but thank you so much. And we'll talk again and keep in contact, and I'll be praying for your son and everything. But yeah, thanks so much. And I guess we'll go ahead and end here in just a second. I want to go ahead and thank everyone for listening, and you can follow my page on Facebook, fultonovercoming.com, and on Instagram as well. And if anybody wants to email, it's fultonovercoming@gmail.com. Yes, thanks so much for listening, and have a happy Sunday. Well, it is Sunday today.
Happy Father's Day also to all.
Yes. Bye. Wait a second. Wait, are you